It's great to be back on tour on a college campus. It's been a long time for us. We haven't done this kind of a thing since when Super Troopers came out. The studio sent us, all over the country to go to college campuses and show kids the movie, get people talking about it. So it was a lot like this, except nobody had any idea who we were. So it was a very different vibe, you know. So like we would be the guys like in the middle of the quad, like wearing our Super Troopers outfits, trying to get people to come to the screenings, being like hassling the students as they walk by. They go, "Hey, do you like comedy? Do you like to laugh? And you want to come see a screening of a movie?" And we do this all day long, and people just be like, "What the hell are you doing?" So it's nice to come down to a place where people actually have some idea who we are. When we did that, also the cool thing about that Super Troopers tour, they put us on a bus, sent us all over. We did a lot of campuses, we did a lot of radio interviews, which are amazing. And the thing is, we had no idea what we were doing. We'd never done anything like this. So we were so clueless, we were so green, we didn't know what to do. And did whatever the publicist told us to do. So we used to go do these morning radio shows, and our publicist told us we had to wear the outfits, the whole Super Trooper Highway Patrol costume, glasses, and everything. And we did this for about 3 weeks before somebody was like, "Hey, wait a minute, we're on the radio. Why the hell am I dressed head to toe in a costume? They can't see what you're wearing on the radio. They can't see anything." We were so dumb. We did anything they asked us to do. They asked us to do like the grand opening of a tire store, and we were psyched, you know, we couldn't wait to do it. Cut the ribbon with the big scissors, you know. But it was the coolest thing was they got us our own tour bus, and it was very rock and roll, and it was wrapped with Super Troopers stuff, and they got us our own rock and roll tour manager. They dusted off this old 60-year-old guy named Derek Wilkinson from Newcastle, and this guy had been in the business forever. He was rock and roll since he was a teenager, so he'd seen everything. You know, he'd seen the Stones at Altamont, and he'd seen Leonard Skinner before they got on the plane. You know, so he'd been everywhere and he'd seen everything. The one thing he had never seen, though, in his whole career was 5 30-year-old dorks running up and down a tour bus pretending to be AC/DC. Just embarrassed the shit out of this guy. And when you're an old grizzled rock and roll manager, you know, it doesn't matter what you say, you don't care what anybody thinks. You know, so we'd be like, "Wilkie, check me out! I'm David Lee Roth! I'm Eddie Van Halen!" He'd walk over and say, "No, you're not, you're a fucking fruitcake." They're not the most PC guys, and we used to harass him all the time because all we wanted to do was have him tell us stories about rock and roll and tell us everything. We were like schoolgirls just sitting around waiting for him to tell us another story. We never learned our lesson because the stories inevitably were really disgusting and depressing stories about just how freakish everything used to be. And his idea, you know, like a good story would be like, "Okay, so we were partying at Steven Tyler's house, right? And he had this donkey, and we'd given the donkey peyote, right? So the donkey's passed out. And so me and my mates, we had the donkey's head in an oven, and we were taking turns." He couldn't understand why something like that was disgusting to us. He'd say, "What? Come on, boys, this was the 70s. Oh, that's right. We hadn't yet voted out while putting animals' heads in ovens for the purposes of sexual gratification. The Donkey Head in the Oven Act of 1981 had not yet been signed. But it was very rock and roll. Like, we'd go to our town, we'd get to our hotel, head out to the lobby, and he'd be there waiting for us, and he would hand us a piece of paper that had our address of our hotel so we could find our way home at the end of the night, and a condom, and he'd kick us on the ass and send us on our way. So it was very, for us, incredibly rock and roll, you know, like by the end of the tour I had 50 condoms stuffed in my pocket. Mr. Rock and Roll over here. I actually find condoms incredibly disgusting. I can't think of anything more gross. I know I shouldn't, you know, I know it symbolizes that an act of love has taken place. I get that, I should be happy, I guess, but it just makes me want to sick when I find, makes me sick when I find a condom. And I wonder if maybe it's because I feel like I only ever find used condoms in places where I'd never in a million years want to have sex with somebody. Like, who's having sex behind a dumpster out in the parking lot? Who does that? Does that line actually work on girls? I mean, I've known girls who have had low self-esteem, but I've yet to meet the girl who feels good about getting fucked behind a dumpster. I bet Mr. Right. Knock me off my feet. I just can't imagine that line working on somebody like, hey, Mama, you want to go fuck in the gutter? How would that even work? I don't even understand the logistics of having sex in a gutter. I couldn't get my nut in a gutter if I wanted to, but I could be with Giselle Bundchen. I couldn't get my nut in a gutter. And I'm not saying that I could have sex in a gutter with Giselle Bundchen. I realize she's a very classy lady. I'd have to take her to the alley and fuck her on a stack of milk crates or do something. I shouldn't make jokes about condoms and having sex with supermodels, because I guarantee you, as soon as those words crossed my lips, 2,000 miles away in LA, my wife sat up in bed and was like, what? Condoms? Giselle Bundchen? What? What is he talking about? Like, you'll get this when you're married someday, this women's intuition, sixth sense, metaphysical thing that women have that never ceases to bum me out. It's quite remarkable. 2 weeks ago, I spent the day in the doghouse because my wife had a dream that I had fucked another woman. And you laugh, but it'll happen to you. This happened to me twice. And it's a terrible way to wake up. You're like, I just woke up, what can I do? And there's no way to argue your way out of it, because it's not about common sense, it's not about logic, there's nothing rational you can say. It's an incredibly one-sided fight. And she'll say, well, it was an incredibly vivid dream, and I'm just wondering why it is that I would have such an incredibly vivid dream like that, you see. Can you think of any reason why I would have an incredibly vivid dream like that? Being incredibly defensive for somebody who supposedly didn't do anything. All right, let's keep the comedy going. You guys are awesome, and we'll see you in a little while. Be right back. Woo!